And what's up, nerds? My name is Brendan. I am the nerd of many faces, and to my right is Shane at FDScosplay, and we are the Knights of Nerd. Now, Shane, how you doing?
Sir. I'm doing good, man. Not too bad. It's been an interesting week, but you know, hey, weekend came and it's been actually pretty good. I actually feel kind of relaxed. I feel kind of energized and stuff like that. So I mean, considering that I spent most of the week with my back out, but you know, hey, I'm back and I'm feeling great. So
stop getting older. Wait, no, that's not possible.
It's not getting older. Stop getting hurt.
Fair point. But we got some exciting news this weekend, but
yes,
it's also questionable news. And we have a fantastic group of people to join us in terms of discussing this topic. It is the announcement. It happened, I think, either was it Tuesday or was it last week Sunday that this actually was announced? Because I remember seeing it on a Tuesday.
I think it was announced on Monday is when they announced it.
Okay, so it might have been I saw it on Tuesday and it was announced on Monday. San Diego Comic-Con, one of the things that is most nearest and dearest to our hearts, has announced that they are doing an in-person event over Thanksgiving weekend.
Yeah, crazy.
Which and like I said, we have a fantastic group of people to have a discussion about this, because there are some things that are great about it, but there are some things that are like, really? About it. So let's go ahead and get to our guests.
Yes.
So starting from left to right, I think it's like, well, or
yeah, from your left to the right.
Starting from my left to the right, we have Colleen at wyngdlyon, a fantastic crafter and often a vendor at San Diego Comic-Con. We have our dear friend Shawn at Batcat50, volunteers for Comic-Con, writer for the Marvel Report, and also, you know, all around nerd and all my things
husband.
Cosplay husband, cosplay. Is he my cosplay uncle?
That would be it. And then Colleen's my cosplay wife, so yeah, I mean, hey, we got the whole family. What can I say, man? And
then also joining us from LORC podcast is a dear friend of mine. I always enjoy talking comics, movies, and whatever else in terms of the nerd universe. My dear friend Anthony at Spooky the 13th or at LORC podcast. How are you all doing? Thank you for joining us, and yeah, I'm very excited to talk this news with y'all. We'll start with
dude.
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
So, I mean, it's San Diego Comic-Con.
Yep.
The thing that we would all get excited for, some of us getting up wee early hours of the morning in April. Well, it's like, when did they go on sale in 2019?
In February.
In February, and I think there was. Then there was another sale. There was another badge selling in, I want to say May, or was it April?
I think it was April. Yeah, it was in April, because I remember the second time around was during when I actually do inventory, so it was in April. Okay.
And I know that I have to experience the blue pinwheel of death, as what we all call it. Colleen, since you're a vendor, it's like you go in and you have other worries to worry about. Shawn with volunteering and doing stuff for the Marvel Report, more than likely you are press. Anthony, quick question for you: are you also does LORC get press badges or media, or
no,
or are you relegated to the blue pinwheel as well?
No, actually, I don't know how far this is going to reach, but I sneak in yearly. For a long time, I was press with a previous website. The podcast I'm on now is the longest running podcast that no one listens to. And if I can't get a hookup from a friend, I will get in other ways, we'll say. And I try and spend at least one day inside, because the outside has gotten so good. Like I've been going 20 plus years.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
I've got somewhere close to like 17 badges on a string at this point. I've kept everyone since like 97 off and on. I've been going. So I've seen the inside a lot. Now that the outside's gotten so cool, I don't mind not getting in every time. And panels, I kind of gave up on a long time ago.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been going the same amount of time as you have, Anthony. I've been going since '97 as well, and I've been I gave up on panels. I think my last panel was, oh crap, I think it was when they announced the season, oh god, season 3 or season 4 Torchwood, whichever was the last season for Torchwood. So that was my last literal panel that I did, because they did Torchwood and they did Psych, and oh, what was the other one? There was one other one, I can't remember what it was, but it was in Ballroom 20. And that was like literally the last time I did any panels. And then I think I started cosplaying after that. And ever since then, it's just been nothing but cosplay.
With the exception of last year, where I did the camp out for Hall H. I'd been a big Supernatural fan, and the show was ending, so it was likely the last time. I camped out with like the posse that's been doing it for years, and did that experience. Before that, though, the earliest or the next Hall H I can remember was Sky Captain in the World of Tomorrow?
Oh yeah.
World of Tomorrow. Yeah.
I think that was the last time I was in Hall H before that.
Jude Law and Angelina Jolie.
Yep.
Yep. It forever colored how I see Jude Law.
Oh man, we actually have a funny story about Angelina Jolie. Me and my buddy were actually, I was living out in East County at the time, out in La Mesa, and we were driving out to Comic-Con, and we're on the 94, and here's this limousine hauling ass, like doing like 100 miles an hour on the 94, and he looks over at me, he's got an Audi, and I'm all, do it, dude, go, follow them. So we literally followed this limousine all the way to the back of the convention center. As they stopped, we stopped, and who gets out of the back was Angelina Jolie, because she was late for signing for Tomb Raider.
Oh wow. Can limousines go? It's like real quick. Do you think limousines can go in the carpool lane?
I don't see why not, but there's no carpool lane on the 94.
That's also true.
Food can go in the carpool lane. I'm sure limousines can.
Yeah.
So, Shawn, how long have you been going to Comic-Con? Because I think in terms of this group, it's like might be up between you and Colleen in terms of who has been going longer.
Oh, I haven't been going nearly as long as the other two guys said. My first Comic-Con, you got to remember, I'm probably the oldest one here, I think, but I got into all of this stuff through my son, who started watching superhero stuff when he was 3. And the first year we went, I was just trying to think when everybody else was talking. The first year I went to the first time I went to any comic convention ever was we got Sunday only tickets to go to San Diego Comic-Con, and he was either 3 or 4 at the time. I don't know which means that would have been 2000. I think it was 2009 was the first year. I've gone every year since, thank God, but I wasn't into this stuff even a little bit until him and I got into it together in 2009. So that's when I started.
Now, when did you guys cosplay the first time you guys went, or was that the following year?
No, so we went to San Diego again. I think it was 2009, and we're just, that being our first show, of course, of all shows, we're just awestruck. And we had like the only experience we'd had Comic-Con wise was literally just seeing it on the news and seeing like the gas lamp and the exhibit hall, like quick shots of the exhibit hall floor at Hall H, and like, holy cow, the insanity of all those people. And on one hand, it looks insane, and on the other hand, it looks really, really fun. And then we just decided one year, they always call Sunday Kids Day. And so this was back when you could get tickets. And I think, if I remember right, I want to say we went on the Comic-Con website like a month before the show and just grabbed 3 Sunday badges. And the thing I will never forget about that was we went up to pick up our badges on the floor upstairs in the sales pavilion. And we got up there and we showed our ID, we got our badges, and we turned to where you get your bags and your programs. And on the left, there was this one table that was like 8 feet long with a little sign that said, "Buy badges for next year." And that was the last year you could do that. But we went over there and we were already like, this is really cool. Let's just pick up a Sunday badge for next year. No wait, walked over, whipped out the credit card, 3 passes for next year, and then walked in. And then literally that was last year you could do that. And every year after that, it's gotten crazier and crazier. Now they're kind of in a groove with how they do badges. But like, I think it was the next year after that where they did, or maybe 2 years after that, where they did the in-person badge sales during Comic-Con at, I don't know if it was the Marriott or maybe it was the Manchester Grand Hyatt, one of the hotels. You could line up like at 4 a.m. with like 3,000 people and go in and buy badges for the next year. And then
wow.
They did a very limited, like it was like 3,000 people a day. And I got there at like 5 a.m. and 10 minutes later they capped the line because everybody was there so early. But then that was the only year they did that. And then ever since it's just been all online. But yeah, so to answer your question, we cosplayed first at, Gavin cosplayed at WonderCon the following March, and then the following July we cosplayed together at Comic-Con.
Nice.
And then Colleen, what has been your experience in regards to San Diego Comic-Con? Because I know that you've been a vendor there, because generally in terms of, I mean, this is a story for another point in time, but your booth has been the meetup booth in terms of like, it's like, oh, we need to find each other. Oh, there's a medical emergency.
Yeah, I'm the mom, I guess. I actually started going to Comic-Con in 99, 2000, I think, as an attendee. Actually, funny thing is I've never actually bought a badge to Comic-Con. I used to get volunteer badges or free passes from my friends who work the floor all the time. And then I would say about 15 years ago, I started helping my friends, Brian and Gwen, out in their t-shirt booth. And then this last July would have been my 4th year splitting my own booth with 2 friends of mine. So, yeah, it's been a while. And my first cosplay was in 2000 at San Diego Comic-Con. So.
And we've all cosplayed together.
Yep. Google
that's before it was a thing.
Google SDCC 2018 cosplay. There is a photo of of myself, Colleen, Shawn, and Shane as the 90s X-Men within the top 10. Which always, like, it's like if I ever need a little boost, I'm like, yay!
Right. Right. It's funny because just not too long ago, I actually was doing some research for a cosplay that I was doing, and I wasn't even looking up X-Men or anything like that. I just put in, Superman cosplay, right? And for whatever reason, that photo of us popped up.
You typed in Superman and got X-Men. Okay.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Gotta love Google,
Indeed. So let's go around. We'll go around, and now with this announcement that San Diego Comic-Con is going to be hosting an in-person event in November on Thanksgiving weekend, let's go around and get our first general takes of it. I know that my personal take is based on regardless of what it is that you see on the news, I am wondering how wise of a decision it is. I understand that Comic-Con needs to do these types of events to stay solvent. I understand that any type of non-profit that is event-based has been hit super hard, or anything that's event-based has been hit super hard over the past 2 years. I mean, I was in that industry. I was a crew manager or crew supervisor. I set up events for thousands of people. I mean, I haven't set up Comic-Con, but it's still it's like, as opposed to, like, you know, Comic-Con being the Washington Red, I was doing the Granny Smith. I mean, they're both still apples. Right. And I get it. I am wondering in terms of the wise, or the wisdom behind the decision. Because you're already talking about having an in-person event on one of the busiest retail weekends of the year. You're talking about having a in-person event on Black Friday. So, I mean, my questions are, it's like, what are tickets going to cost? It's like, you know, are vendors going to be able to go through and sell their products? Because, you know, Tommy, Larry, Susie, or whoever, they might be going to, you know, insert store names Black Friday sale, which starts on a Thursday now. And even Black Friday has changed so much, and maybe this will go towards the benefit of it being Thanksgiving weekend. But I mean, that's my standpoint. I am excited. I'm hoping it goes well, but in all honesty, I don't see it. I'm scared for it. I am scared that it's going to be taking place that weekend. So, Colleen, I mean, I mentioned a whole lot about vendors and exhibitors and about vendors. So, being a vendor, like, what are your thoughts on this?
I mean, I think it's a bad weekend just because, yeah, you're gonna have a lot of people traveling to see family for the first time in, you know, 2 years. But you're also gonna have those people who don't have anything invested in spending time with their family, or they're gonna be here in San Diego to spend Thanksgiving Day with their family, and they're gonna come to Comic-Con. I think it's a mixed bag for me. I think it's good and I think it's bad. As a vendor, I'm excited to be out there and, you know, just to be seeing people and talking again out there and promoting it. But it's because it's been hard for the last year. I mean, I was lucky. Last year I got one show in before the lockdown. I mean, literally, I had a convention the beginning of March, and I came home, and the next weekend everything locked down. And, you know, I normally do 14 to 18 shows a year, so one show for the year, it's been hard. You know, unfortunately, I have a full-time job, so that's not, you know, shows are not my bread and butter, but it does make up for a lot, and it helped a lot. So, you know, I've turned a lot to doing stuff online, which has picked up, but it's still not the same amount as being at conventions.
Yeah. Let's go over to Spooky. What are your thoughts?
I mean, the first two things I thought of is it safe in a health concern to have that many people grouped together? And I know it won't be like summertime proper Comic-Con. I know it's going to be smaller and stuff, but is that still a good idea? Like, I'm concerned about October and whether I can do Halloween haunts, which is like next to like conventions is my second biggest jam. But I feel cautious about it. Things look good, but it seems nuts. But the second thought I had was Comic-Con, San Diego Comic-Con has become such a big promotional push for mostly movies and, you know, other IP and media. That weekend at the end of the year, is Marvel going to be there? Is Sony, is Warner Brothers, are they going to get there and like set up anything near to what the expectation is going to be for when you say San Diego Comic-Con? I don't know if they're going to pull it off.
Yeah, you're definitely right in that there is a very high bar set in terms of what it is that we expect from San Diego Comic-Con. And I mean, granted, there are the people out there that go through and the bar is never met for them. But I mean, in all honesty, those people are hard to please to begin with. and so on and so forth. But you bring up like two very good points. Is it gonna be? It's like, you know, I mean, I know that I go in for my. It's like I go in for my second shot on like the 26th of April. And you know, I know that it's like, okay, for my health and safety, I could probably go to an event, but I don't want to go to an event where it's like, you know, where we're gonna have a balloon essentially in San Diego.
Right. My biggest thought is with it being cut down. So I'm thinking it's gonna be basically San Diego WonderCon, basically, is what it's gonna be. Now,
Okay.
are they gonna do the outside like they normally do? Because if they do that, how are they gonna monitor that? Because that there alone, I mean, so many people show up just for that, you know, for the outdoor events and stuff like that. Like it's definitely gonna be managing chaos. I mean, per se.
Well, I mean, it's San Diego Comic-Con. It's, I mean, let's face it,
Right.
managing chaos is part of the gig, no matter when it is.
Right.
But like you got like 120,000 inside. It's
Yeah.
somewhere around there. You've got another 100,000 outside.
Yep.
Mhm.
Like it's outside. Normally, it's just as busy. And you're right. Like you can't stop them from being out there, whether or not there's stuff to really even do. But what really sucks is those restaurants and the businesses in downtown right outside really depend on that money.
Yeah.
Shawn, Shawn, being that, well, actually, I have a question for you, and then it's like we'd love to hear your point, your opinion on this topic. How many years have you been volunteering for Comic-Con?
Well, pre-shutdown pandemic, like years that I've actually physically been there as a volunteer, 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I guess, I mean, what are your thoughts about having Turkey Day SDCC?
Well, I want to start with a statement here that Comic-Con issued, and you were asking earlier, like, when did they release the dates? Now, they said, I don't know, like a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago now, they said that that Comic-Con proper in July was officially canceled.
Yeah.
Yep.
They are going to do another online event in July on the dates that Comic-Con was originally going to happen. And then they said during the cancellation announcement that they were going to try to do some smaller version in November, but didn't give it.
It's like I was aware. Yes, I am indeed aware of that. I mean, that was, and I was always like, what weekend in November are they going to do?
Right. Well, and that's what was really curious to me. Like, why would they say anything if they hadn't picked a date yet? That was odd to me. And then it was, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks later, which was this past week, when they came out and said, okay, here's our Comic-Con limited edition. It's going to be Thanksgiving weekend, blah, blah, blah. And then they've been hammered pretty hard for a number of good reasons about it. But then they actually released another like press release, I don't know, Thursday or Friday. And this isn't the whole thing, but I just wanted to read this. So in our discussion, we can reference this important information I feel is important. And what it says is, of the dates presented with the fewest restrictions, Friday through Sunday of Thanksgiving weekend seem to be the best balance of available space and the event that we envision. As longtime fans ourselves, we've attended many conventions over that holiday weekend, opting to spend Thanksgiving Day with family and the rest of the weekend with friends and families of choice. We understand that this choice is not optimal for everyone. So a couple of things I want to point out with that statement. Number one, if you're a con goer, an attendee, you don't have to miss Thanksgiving Day because the event is Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Now, if you live on the East Coast, having Thanksgiving dinner with your family on Thursday and then magically flying cross country to be here on Friday morning obviously isn't going to happen.
Yeah.
I feel like this is going to be an event that's far more appealing to people closer to the convention center. I'm really lucky. I volunteer for the show. I don't have to worry about buying badges, and I live 4 miles from the convention center. So personally, I don't have to worry about airfare, hotel. To me, the biggest problem with this isn't that people are going to want to spend time with their families and they're going to be torn. Do I go to Comic-Con? Do I I spend time with my family, or companies that are going to force their employees, like, hey, you got to go to San Diego. You don't get to spend Thanksgiving with your company. You don't have any choice. The biggest problem, in my opinion, is travel.
Yeah.
Like, that is Wednesday of that week is the biggest travel day of the year, every single year, bar none. That week is the busiest travel week. Hotels, I looked at hotels immediately after the announcement, and like the Hilton across the street, not the Bayfront, but the other one in the gas lamp, was listed at like $800 a night.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Downtown, all the hotels downtown were at least like $200 a night for that set of dates. And if number one, if you're an attendee wanting to fly in, like you don't celebrate Thanksgiving, you want to go to Comic-Con, hell yeah. The airfare cost and the hotel cost alone is going to be insane. Trying to find a room is going to be insane. I don't think getting tickets is going to be all that hard. But that's just travel-wise, that's literally the worst weekend of the year. And then for companies too, if you have companies like one of us was saying, is Marvel going to be there, Sony going to be there, etc. All of those companies have to put every single person that they fly into San Diego in a hotel. And those companies are going to look at, holy crap, how much these hotel rooms are, how much that now we're out. Like, we were already on the fence, and now we're looking at the cost of flying everyone and putting them up in hotels. We're out. So it's the other thing I wanted to point out about that press release was that it's weird that they took 3 or 4 weeks between the November announcement and the Thanksgiving announcement.
Yeah.
And I was watching the convention center website calendar, and I was looking at the dates because they have a list of events by date and expected attendance. And Thanksgiving in November, once they said November was the only or Thanksgiving was the only weekend in November that had nothing on the calendar. All of the other weekends had events already, but they were all small, like 7,000 to 10,000 people. And you're thinking, well, Comic-Con's not going to take the whole convention center because it's a smaller event, so they could go any weekend. But then they opted for Thanksgiving. Almost makes me think that they want to rent the whole convention center. And again, in the statement, it says, of the dates presented with the fewest restrictions, Thanksgiving weekend seemed to be the best balance of available space and our envisioned event. Now, when they say available space, if they looked at another weekend and like, well, there's this one event that has 10,000 people and one that has 7, well, that still is probably going to leave open 80% or so of the convention center for them to use. And they opted for Thanksgiving, knowing that everybody's going to hate Thanksgiving, but on Thanksgiving weekend, the whole place is available. So I'm wondering if their goal isn't just to rent the whole place. Now, are they limited on capacity? November is a long ways away. I don't know. Personally, my dream scenario for me, hell yeah, the whole exhibit hall floor limited to 50% capacity. Can you imagine?
Oh, everyone could walk.
Like the old days.
Whole weekend, that would be awesome. You know, they're going to be limited. Everything they do is going to be limited by state and local regulations. Look, everybody is losing money. Everybody wants to get back to normal. But the bottom line is, if the governor of California still hasn't approved events of this scale, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But in California, we open up vaccines to 16 and over in 11 days. And the curious thing to me is, once everybody who wants, and this is a whole nother topic, obviously, but once everybody who wants the vaccine is vaccinated, now what do we do? Like, can we go back to having 150,000 people at Comic-Con? Or do we go back to, okay, you can have an event of that size, but you have to limit attendance to 25%, or 25% of whatever the fire code is for the exhibit hall. You can't exceed that number, that kind of thing, you know?
Yeah. I mean, it's a question that no one really knows the answer to. I don't even think that our state government, in terms, because, I mean, surprise, we all live in California. We don't know what that's going to look like. I mean, definitely it's a hope of mine that this goes off well, because I want there to still be a Comic-Con in San Diego. I like having Comic-Con be in my backyard. I love it. But on the same aspect, I don't want to, I mean, it's kind of a risk analysis thing, and I don't agree with the risk that these guys, the Comic-Con, the higher-ups are taking, because I almost see it as like, are you guys just going to lose money?
Right.
I mean,
my thing is too is because I mean, when you think about it, this whole time they've been using the convention center as a home for the homeless.
Yeah.
Over the past year and a half. Well, they're still there. For how much more longer, I don't know. But they utilize that. They've been utilizing that convention center for that, and rumor is that they're supposed to be utilizing it for other things too as well before the convention. Now, my question is by doing all this and having all this, are they even going to be able to have the convention center basically safe enough to hold an event or any of these events in November?
Like safe enough in terms of cleanliness, or is that what you're?
Yes.
I mean,
I don't think that would take very long at all for them to clean up, honestly, in my opinion.
I mean, there are companies out there like go through and just hire crime scene investigation cleaners, essentially.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, those guys get blood and stuff out of carpet. Or at least that's what I've seen on NCIS.
From my experience through my work, you know, we've had to close a couple stores down because of, you know, customers or an associate or whatever getting sick and stuff like that. And they usually have the store closed down for about a half day to a day because they basically come in and bug bomb it with like a disinfectant type thing. And from what I understand, it smells like oregano. So you're done. You end up go back in. It smells like a pizza shop. But but it worked. So I don't know. I don't know. I'm just kind of curious to see something on that larger of a scale. You know, I mean, when you think about it, the convention center is basically a small city. You know, pretty much. You know, it's like, you know, a bunch of cruise ships kind of put together.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and trying to get every nook and cranny cleaned out from having, you know, the homeless living there for a year and a half, you know, and then whatever, you know, they're going to be using it for after they remove them from the convention center is just, I'm just kind of like, I don't know. It's going to be interesting. Definitely, for sure. But
well,
again, I think that they announced these dates because they're still unsure of it going, and it could just be an insurance thing.
And then because they haven't officially mentioned in terms of what they're doing in terms of tickets, right?
Right, and no. the staff didn't even know about this when they announced it.
Okay.
Nobody on Comic-Con staff knew that they were announcing the date, announcing the November, and then announcing the dates.
Surprise!
Yeah, pretty much.
Vendors don't even know we don't even know what the pricing's going to be. We're still waiting on that information.
And I mean, it's gonna be just, and it's like, Shawn, what you mentioned before about like the hotels and the travel. I didn't even register that. It's like I have flown Thanksgiving weekend. I've flown like on the Wednesday before Thanksgiving and like the Sunday after to Boston, and generally my plane ticket is $700. It's like each way, so it cost me about.
Sounds right.
So it cost me about $1,000. It's cost me over $1,000 just for 4 days.
Yeah, well, and again, if let's say you're Marvel and you're back in New York contemplating, do we want to do this show or not? Well, they can't even decide right now unless their decision is no and they're already out. That's different. But if they're contemplating, they don't know, are they going to get the same booth? Do they have the same space? How do they lay it out? How much is it going to cost?
Mm-hmm.
How many employees are they allowed to bring? Like they don't know anything. So if they do, even if they want to go, it's going to be some time. Who knows how? Now maybe next week they come out and go, here's everything, and they have all the details. But since we're so far away, and with the landscape of COVID restrictions constantly changing, and yeah, things are lightening up right now. Hopefully they just keep getting better and better and better, but they could turn right around and get worse and everything shuts down again. There's just, so what I'm getting at is everybody that wants to go, like if you're an attendee that lives in Illinois, you're not going on Priceline and buying a hotel and airfare right now.
Right. Well,
yeah.
Funny.
Up in the air, and that means you've got to wait longer. And
Yeah.
the longer you wait, the more you're competing with everybody and their brother who's flying just for the holidays, which
Yeah.
means the prices of the hotel and the airfare is just going to kill you. It's not going to get any better, the cost of anything.
Right. Well, here's the crazy part too is, so Comic-Con announced the dates, right? As soon as they announce the dates, of course, people are going to go on and start booking their hotels and stuff like that. So the hotels hadn't gotten the dates yet. The hotels got the dates about half hour, 45 minutes after Comic-Con made the announcement. People had already gone through and booked 3/4 of the Hilton next door at $250 a day,
Which is a steal.
which is a steal.
That's a steal, right? For
within 30 minutes of the announcement.
Oh,
that cost quadrupled.
Yep. Because Comic-Con.
Oh my goodness.
Crazy. Freaking crazy.
But again, like, attendees are one thing, but like I said before, for exhibitors, if you're Marvel and you're flying, I don't know how many employees they bring, but you're flying 25, 30 people out and putting them all in hotels, you know, it's going to cost a lot more to vend than it normally would.
Yeah.
Well, and also something that I've been seeing in regards to the news and everything else that's out there is the amount of celebrity personalities that are throwing out their disapproval in terms of the scheduling of Comic-Con. And I am kind of wondering in terms of, well, I mean, granted, one big reason is it's Thanksgiving weekend. That has to be kind of a dead weekend in the film. It's like in the filming industry. I mean, unless you're filming like a blockbuster movie, but even then they'll probably take like a day off or something. But
no, I think they take Thanksgiving and that weekend off.
So, okay. Well, and that being is, you know, if it does continue, I mean, what do we expect to see in terms of, because one of the big draws of San Diego Comic-Con is, you know, autograph signings. I mean, for me, it's just like, okay, who can I possibly run into?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like I don't buy stuff. I don't buy into the whole entire like go get an autograph from somebody personally, but if I run into somebody, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, just hang out with Shawn. He runs into everybody.
I know.
Guy, I'm only there for about 8 days from dusk until dawn, so you know, I got to run into everybody. My favorite was running into Stan Lee at the elevator, but well, one of the millions of questions that we all have is, what is it if it does happen? What is it going to look like? And one aspect of that is panels. Obviously, there's so many. I have no idea how many panel rooms there are at the San Diego Convention Center. There's a lot, from 50 to 100 people to 7,000 in Hall H.
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea. Like, will we be able to have a Hall H again? Can we have panels in Hall H, but at 50% capacity or 25% capacity, or will they just pull the plug altogether on half the panels and only have half? But one of the best things for me about Comic-Con is if you camp out for Supernatural, like Anthony was saying, you're not going into that panel after spending all those hours on the lawn outside of Hall H. You never go into that panel thinking, oh gosh, I hope this person is there. Oh gosh, I hope that person. It's pretty much almost, unless there's somebody's 9 months pregnant or very ill or shooting other film, it's almost always the whole cast of whatever movie or TV show that you're there to see for the panel.
Yeah.
I don't see that happening over Thanksgiving weekend with, you know, A-list celebrities. I don't see you getting the whole cast of The Flash and the whole cast of whatever Marvel movie is coming up. You're probably going to get half of them, if that, you know.
I wouldn't be surprised if they still did like the Zoom panels for a majority of those.
Yeah.
Because it's safe. People, like, you can gather and do it. I don't think that would necessarily fly in Hall H. I think there's, like, again, what we expect Comic-Con to be. If you're going to open those doors, there's a base level of the expectation of what people want, and that level is far beyond what a lot of regular conventions can kind of meet. Hall H, you might still need to like pull out, you know, your Avengers cast and whatnot. We were talking about airfare, and I just wanted to find out. So I went to Priceline and found out from New York to San Diego that weekend what it cost for a business flight, and it starts at $998
Oh,
one trip,
Wow.
There you go.
round trip.
Oh,
Yeah.
and oh yeah, no, this is. I don't see how that's. I mean, I don't see how this is financially going to be. How financially this is going to be feasible.
Because you're still promoting in July with the Comic-Con at home.
Yep.
You still got your panel. You'll still release your trailer. You know, like you won't be there to give stuff away, which is awesome.
Yeah.
But like, let's talk. You know, any given company is going to send varying size, but what, maybe at least 6 people to kind of run the booth, and that's not even like your big companies. $6,000 just to get them through the door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then so much more just to set them up to live, and then you got to pay them.
Yeah. Hey guys, really quick. I'm sorry. I got to step away really fast. I'm so sorry.
All right. Go ahead.
Sorry.
I think that the Comic-Con in November is going to probably end up being more of a West Coast attendance kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're going to see more people that can drive down, or you know, live in the city or live in LA, San Francisco, you know, Nevada. It's something that people can drive to, so they're not spending that much money on, you know, flying to San Diego, or just something that they can get here quicker.
I'm kind of thinking if
You're still going to have your diehards coming from the East Coast. I'm
Sure.
sure of that, but more than likely, I think it's going to be more of a West Coast kind of attendance.
And now it's like now I'm kind of interested to see what hotels.com, because that
yeah,
it's like we've found out the pricing for the flight.
Yeah.
How much is it going to cost?
Let me piggyback on what Colleen just said, and this is something that people aren't really talking about either. Is San Diego Comic-Con is the biggest international convention of its type, as far as I know. As far as attendance, the number of people that attend total, and the number of people that fly from all over the world to go to this show. And I agree with Colleen. I think this show has got to be far more locally attended.
Yeah.
And a lot of those people, companies, and attendees are not going to come. But I'll add this. People fly in from all over the world to go to WonderCon? No. WonderCon has 60,000 people at it. So, I mean, I think it's very feasible that they could do a show that has a pretty, not 140, but I think it's very possible that they can do a very, very well attended show. And plus, think of all the people that live in Southern California that have always wanted to go to Comic-Con and haven't ever been able to go.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, the number of people that are like that probably outnumbers those of us that go every year and love it so much. And you're going to get all those people. And if I were them and this goes through, that's how I would advertise it. Like, hey, yeah, this isn't quite the spectacle that it normally is, but if you've ever wanted to go and couldn't get tickets, here's your chance. And I'll bet a lot of people, again, if it's allowed to happen, who knows, I'll bet a lot of people would jump at that. And I don't think they'd have any problem getting very solid attendance numbers. And that may be why they picked Thanksgiving weekend and the whole convention center was available. That this may be, now I don't think it's going to be, again, I don't think it's going to be the whole convention center at 100% capacity per state and local regulations and 140,000 people. But it may be the whole convention center at 50% capacity with 70,000 people. And I think they'd be awfully happy if that happens. I do think, actually, now that I'm talking about it out loud, I think the challenge is going to be bigger to get vendors than attendees, honestly.
I mean,
because a lot of vendors fly in, and could they get enough vendors within driving distance to fill that exhibit hall?
I think you're gonna have vendors that are gonna be like, you know what, it's Comic-Con, attendance is gonna be good. I'll take the risk. I'll make the money.
Right.
You're gonna have other vendors that are like, my family's more important. But also to piggyback on what you said too, we have to remember that Thanksgiving is only a United States thing.
Right.
So you also have those international people that are gonna spend the money to travel.
Yeah.
That's
That's a good point.
I mean, that's a great point. And then pulling up let's see. Pulling up the hotel lists. Let's see. I'm going pseudo close to the convention center. Hotel Republic is $444 per night. The Guild Hotel, which I have no idea what it's on Broadway, is, I mean, Manchester Grand Hyatt is $660 a night.
Plus parking.
Plus parking.
Okay, sorry.
Tonight.
I'm back. Sorry about that.
Interestingly enough, the Wyndham San Diego Bayside is only at $284. I'm like,
wow.
And I'm like, it's like, have they not received the memo yet? Do they not know?
That's like a regular price.
I know. I'm like, huh? I mean,
Wow.
it's hard to tell because like there are some hotels that are acting like they know that San Diego Comic-Con's happening on Thanksgiving weekend. There are others that just have their regular pricing.
Well, and this could turn out to be a scenario where it's for hotels, it's simply every man for themselves. I don't know if there'll even be an option to do a Comic-Con hotel sale like they do every year, where all the hotels know a year in advance when Comic-Con's going to be,
Yeah.
and they lock off all of the reservations for that week, and then they do the big hotel sale all at once for like every hotel and anywhere near the gas lamp. Well, I don't think they're going to be able to do that this year, So it's just going to be like, well, we don't have a hotel sale. If you can find one, great.
It's like, may the odds be ever in your favor.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it still equates out to what you normally see. Granted, this will be more expensive for outside like Southern California or even maybe a little larger area. It's gonna be way more expensive because it's stacked on top of Thanksgiving. But it's always been a problem. Capacity has always been an issue for the last 10 plus years for Comic-Con. That's not necessarily anything new. I personally don't think selling the tickets is going to be a big problem. It's still Comic-Con. It's got prestige. Colleen had a great point. It's not just America. It's a lot of outside places. Canada, you don't even got to cross the water. Mexico and come up. Like you're here. Shawn, you had a good point. Like didn't have a chance to go before because it's always so nuts. Maybe this time you get a little taste. My major concern is just the quality. It's just the quality of what the product is going to be. Like I'm curious, like Colleen, would you be there? Like if say the table price is there, you got to be there Thanksgiving or like the Wednesday before because you got to set your booth up.
I mean, my goal is I'm intending to go. And that's another thing. What's setup going to be like for normal Comic-Con? I'm down at the convention center on Monday, dropping off all my stuff with Freeman for them to load it in, and then I'm there Tuesday and Wednesday setting up my booth, to open up on preview night on Wednesday night. So what they're going to have to do, it's going to have to be kind of that same schedule, be able to drop on Monday and Tuesday. Maybe Wednesday, have Thursday to spend Thanksgiving with your family, and then Friday, you open up at 9 o'clock in the morning and spend until 7. I think my biggest challenge is going to be able to find people to help me work the booth. I mean, normally I split it 3 ways, with 2 other vendors, but one of the guys who I vend with, he's like, I'm not gonna vend in November. He's like, I don't feel safe doing it, and the third guy is MIA right now. So it's literally it'll be if everything goes the way I'm thinking it's gonna go, it's gonna be my booth, so I'm gonna have that whole 10 by 10, but I can't do it by myself.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm curious too because being the CEO of the 501st, we set up our fan table. And we go in and we usually set up on Tuesday because preview night is on Wednesday. and we haven't even heard much from them other than, hey, this is the plan, this is what we're doing, and you guys are still going to have your table. Like, we normally do 3 panels that weekend for Comic-Con weekend, because the 501st usually has theirs, the Mercs have theirs, and then Rebel Legion has theirs. And they haven't even reached out to us on whether or not we're going to be doing our, if there's going to be that, that option for us to do our panels like we normally do. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see how this goes. Like how Anthony was saying, a lot, it wouldn't go over on Hall H to do, kind of the Zoom panel type thing, but you could totally pull that off at other panels. What's not to say that they don't just have Hall H just playing the panels that they do for Comic-Con at home. Maybe that's the plan. Maybe they don't want, maybe that's how they're going to kind of get around the whole panel thing, is by just doing Comic-Con at home panels on the big screen in Hall H instead of having, the companies bring out the actors and stuff like that. I mean, once you have that, I mean, why wouldn't you utilize that anyways? Because not everybody is going to watch those panels through Comic-Con at home.
Yeah. Well, it's like, and I just had a thought too. I mean, if Comic-Con's looking for an infusion of finance, essentially, so this or last year for Comic-Con at home, I found the product that they had kind of being a little bit lackluster. What if?
Sorry.
Do you have? It's like I have a feeling that Colleen's gonna have a statement like right after I get done.
Has all sorts of opinions.
Which is okay. That's the reason why we're here. But if they went through and like actually had a decently priced it's like for the quality it is that you're buying, merchandise to kind of help San Diego Comic-Con, get to shore essentially, because I kind of have a feeling that we're all like, Captain Jack Sparrow, like we're hoping to get to Port Royal, like, and we're standing on top of the mast and we're all waiting for that. But I mean, would it be better for them to go through and just do it's like a product launch and not just have it be that weekend, have it be throughout the year? I think Comic-Con is really losing out, or it's like Comic-Con International is kind of losing out on not having merch be sold all year round, because they want to keep it exclusive, I guess would be the term. So, I mean, Colleen, let's go ahead and get your thoughts on this.
Mess. As a vendor, it was probably one of the worst platforms I've seen, and I did quite a few virtual conventions last year. I expected more out of Comic-Con and their resources. We have a premium exhibitor booth, so we end up spending quite a bit more, for a corner, for a taller sign and things like that. And they limited each premium and most other vendor spaces to 10 items in the store. So you could put up 10 items in your store, and then you had to link it to your website. And then it all had to be done in advance. You couldn't go in and edit it after the fact. I mean, whatever you put up, it was static, and that's what you were limited to. And it was bad. I think my traffic didn't go up very much. I think I maybe had 5 or 10 sales for the entire weekend. You couldn't find vendor booths very easily, even if you went and used like the booth number. It was hard to find on the map to get to the booth. There was no real directory, like looking people up alphabetically. It was horrible.
Now, did anybody participate in the WonderCon at home? Like, did anybody watch any of that? Or because I know that Sci-Fi Co had a virtual booth, right, Shawn?
We did, yeah. It was basically just like a splash page that we were listed as a fan table, and if you went there, it had a bunch of photos that Shawn Mullins sent in, and you know, a blurb about who we are and like a link to our website and stuff.
Right.
You know, I mean, we don't
because
sell merchandise, so what Colleen's talking about didn't apply to us. So
right, but I remember last year when they did even you know WonderCon and SDCC, didn't they like promote the you know not only the vendor pages, but didn't they also promote like Artist Alley, or was that pretty much word of mouth from like all of us promoting our friends and stuff like that that were hurting, that were vending at the shows, that were doing that? Because I remember either via word of mouth through Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and stuff like that, or it was San Diego Comic-Con International, and you know, announcing those things.
Comic-Con International was only announcing the big booths, Marvel, DC.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Guys, all of us, the smaller vendors, it was all up to us and our friends and
right,
whatever traffic, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, you know, however we were promoting.
Yeah, I mean, for something like that, for Colleen, for example, I would think you'd be better off just posting your Etsy page. Like,
yeah,
you know,
right.
Jump on the hashtag.
Set up, you can buy stuff. There's a whole bunch of stuff you can pay for it.
Well, I mean, I guess, but I guess we still haven't really addressed the question that I proposed. The question that I proposed is for Comic-Con to kind of make it so that way they're staved off in terms of, you know, going bankrupt or what have you. If they had a better merchandise page of stuff that they sold, not that they required Colleen or any other vendor to provide. If they themselves, if Comic-Con International had a line of t-shirts, a line of pins, a line of, you know, insert product name here that was available to buy all year round, what do people think in terms of, would that help this current problem that they have? Because I am kind of feeling that they're publicizing this event because they need a cash infusion.
Right.
So
it might help them cover a little bit of those costs, but I don't think it's going to put that much of a dent. It might put, you know, 10, 15, 20% back in their pockets, but I don't think it's not going to be a huge way to offset things for them.
I mean, I think people, when it comes to con merchandise, like buying a WonderCon t-shirt or a Comic-Con San Diego's Comic-Con 2020 t-shirt, special edition with Wonder Woman drawn by artist so-and-so on the front. I mean, I know for me personally, like, cool, but I didn't go to that show, so why would I want the t-shirt?
All right.
I know some people would have bought it because kind of sentimental, like maybe bought it because they didn't get to go to that show and they were sad and made them a little bit happy to at least get the t-shirt. But for me, like the actual physical show never happened. So for me personally, like, I wouldn't bother buying San Diego Comic-Con 2020 merchandise.
All right.
I just think that with SDCC being a not-for-profit, you would think that would be trying to do as much as possible to earn some sort of income through some sort of, like, you know, sales, whether it's, you know, teaming up with Marvel or DC or other comic book companies to do something, you know, throughout the year to basically sell, you know, maybe exclusive shirts through Comic-Con, you know what I mean? Something that has, like, for example, I mean, there's not that much, you know, for Zack Snyder's Justice League. There's not a lot of merch for that, right? You know, unless you go on to like the DC store or something like that. Why wouldn't, you know, SDCC maybe team up with, per se, Warner Brothers and AT&T and HBO Max to maybe kind of do sort of like an exclusive type deal to where, hey, we'll sell it for you guys. We'll slap the Comic-Con, you know, logo on it or whatever, and, you know, that way we're all making a buck, right? Because I mean, at the end of the day, you know, for a not-for-profit, you still need to make money in order to have your conventions and to, you know, to do your promotions and all this stuff. Because I mean, Comic-Con International not only does SDCC, they do WonderCon and they do
Toucan Con, right?
Toucan Con, yeah. So I mean, how are you going to make money for those when you can't have, when you're basically stuck in a lockdown, not able to have those events, and all you're doing is having free events online. But you're still having to pay the studios to, have them on for a panel. So you got to make money somehow.
I don't think, as specifically Comic Cons, and like that's the subject, I don't think they're really thinking that far ahead. I think everyone is anticipating Comic Con 2022 is going to be on, and it's going to be more or less back to normal. So they're just trying to limp their way until things are normal again. Like these are all ideas they maybe should have talked about last year, about like, hey, maybe instead of putting all our eggs in one basket, let's do regular, like mini online shows. I've never bought specific SDCC merchandise. I've never bought any like the commemorative T-shirt or anything like that. I don't know how well that would fly in the current marketplace of Redbubble and like all these straight, like right from the artist you can buy shirts.
Yeah.
And I like those way more than, oh well, it's got my favorite artist. That's cool, but it's also like $30. So I'm gonna go buy 3 shirts for the same price. That's
also
a funny thing on them.
Well, another thing that they could do too is, which surprises me, is you've got all these small vendors like Colleen, and you've got all these artists in Artist Alley that basically come through and they make their living by doing doing all the cons and stuff like that. Why not San Diego Comic-Con try and help those businesses and those artists out by throughout the year doing like, okay, this weekend only, we're highlighting Winged Lions, go check them out, here's their website, blah 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 blah. At least do something like that to kind of help help them out and help out the community, because I mean, as a not for profit, you're supposed to be about building up the community, helping the community, working with the community, and helping that community grow. Well, San Diego Comic-Con is the biggest community in the world. Why are you not stepping up and helping out those people, those little people that help make you what you are? Now granted, okay, you've got your movie your movie studios and stuff like that do a lot of that stuff, but at the same time they're perfectly well off. The little people that help you fill that floor and that pay you thousands of dollars to be in the show, why can't you help them out by at least going through hey, this day only, give it a different name every other week or something like that. I'll have like a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday type thing, and highlight some of those vendors and some of those artists that are struggling because they're not able to attend shows.
Hey,
what's interesting, and I agree with you, Shane, but what's interesting is, they're the biggest and have the most resources, but has any convention done that you've seen, really?
No, not really. And and that's sad. That that's almost to me like a slap in the face to the vendors and to the artists that basically live and die by these conventions, and that give their blood, sweat, and tears to these things and work their butts off throughout the year to have not only product but art to sell at these things. And it's just it's definitely, I think, a missed opportunity by all conventions across the board. All the conventions could have gotten together and be like, guys, let's do this. Let's give back to these guys that give so much to us and help them out. But did they? No. So it's it's just kind of, I don't know. It's kind of a sour spot for me right there. Even though I don't vend at the shows. I'm not an artist. I just I help run my club, and we do our part at the conventions. But why not give back to that community that does so much to make your show what it is?
I've only seen one convention that's actually done that, and that was one of the steampunk conventions that I do. After the lockdown last year, they got everybody's information. They got out there and they promoted people. They have a website that people can go to and shop all the time. So they got out there and they're like, hey, let's help these guys because they're hurting.
Right.
Another thing, I mean, you're talking about, Comic-Con promoting, even if they wanted to, like, take one row a week. you know, one row in the vendor hall and say, hey, these are all the vendors that are in row 100. You know, go support them. You know, and just even put them out there as a, you know, spotlight of the week kind of thing by row, and that you'd still help out a little bit. I mean, and little's better than nothing.
Yep, absolutely.
Well, at least just once or twice a week, post a link to an artist or an exhibitor's Facebook page on their Facebook page or something, you know.
Yeah.
Featured artist of the week, you know, Winged Lion, here's their Etsy store. You know, charge anything for it, but just throw it up there, you know. I don't know.
You know, they got some intern working for free anyway doing something like that.
Right.
Like, it could just be as easy as, I got a schedule for the year and I'm just going to link, you know, these this week, these next week. You know, like, my first thought is why they don't do it is because it costs money and they're not making any money. Now, if they work something out with the vendors that get spotlighted, you spotlight sale, you know, SDCC gets a little bit of it. That's complicated, but an option. Because, you know,
and I guarantee those vendors would be willing to do it too.
Some, for certain.
I mean, some, but definitely not all. And it's like, like, I mean, the vendor being asked, it's like, hey, do you want to be in the spotlight? They have the right to say no.
Right. No, absolutely. And you know, and with that said, you know, it's definitely going to be interesting once we get back to a vendor floor, you know, with everything that's happened over the past, you know, year, you know, what is that going to look like? Because I mean, a lot of these comic shops didn't make it past last year. A lot of them have closed down and gone away. Gone away. I mean, we went from, I know, at least 2 or 3 comic shops here in San Diego closed. You know, and you know, it's just going to be interesting to see what you know, what that dynamic looks like on the vendor floor for, you know, for November and going into the future. You know, because I mean, let's see, you've got I mean, the one of the ones that sticks out to my mind that I know that they haven't closed any down would be everybody's favorite comics and stuff, but don't get me started on that. But you know, they're always there. But you know, you've got
Shane, you're phrasing just a little bit.
A lot of the smaller, a little bit, you know. So, but you know, we'll see. I mean, it's definitely going to be interesting. But you know, I definitely think that they could have done a little bit more to kind of help, you know, with that community and really drive all of the sales and help the vendors out and the artists too as well.
I want to take a second to point another opinion of mine out here, and that's that when they, I don't have it in front of me, I didn't look it up, but when they did one of the recent press releases, I believe it was one of the last two. It was either when they announced that it was going to be Thanksgiving weekend, or when they announced, they had the other announcement kind of defending why they chose Thanksgiving weekend. But in one of those two press releases, you know, they're normally really close to the vest with any internal type of information. And obviously, we all know that they're hurting financially because their main source of income has been taken away for 2 years in a row. And how much money they have in reserves, we have no idea. None of our business. But they did, David Glansner did address that they have, you know, they are hurting. They do need the money, and they've had to reduce hours for some people. I don't think they said that they had to lay any people off or anything like that, but that doesn't mean that they haven't. But they did publicly say that we are really hurting and we really need the money. And on top of that, I want to say this. I told Shane and Colleen this yesterday, but I want people to think about this for a minute. Comic-Con, San Diego Comic-Con always sells their badges months in advance. WonderCon usually is in March or April, and they usually sell badges like in February, because it's not the chaotic cluster bomb that San Diego is with badges.
Yeah.
So last year, when 2020 San Diego Comic-Con was canceled, they had already gotten all the money for those badges. I don't know when they were sold, but months, or even in 2019, months previous, or even in 2019 when they sold 2020 badges. Now, they gave you the option when they canceled last year of getting your money back or rolling them over to 2021 badges. And I'm sure 98.9% of people were like, yeah, if you're guaranteeing me a badge for next year, I don't want my money back. And probably almost nobody took their money back. Everybody rolled a badge.
I don't want to fight the blue pinwheel again.
Yeah, I got a badge for next year, which is this year, and now this year's been canceled. And like I think Anthony was saying, like we're all kind of hoping and assuming that 2022 Comic-Con is back to normal, which at this point, as far as Comic-Con International is concerned, that's a best case scenario, is that they're able to have a full WonderCon and full Comic-Con for next year. But even best case scenario, they are able to have a full 140,000 person event next July, which is over a year away. All of those badges were sold 2 years ago now. By the time we're to next July, they were sold in like late 2019, early 2020. So when they do rent the convention center for 6 or 7 days and they pay all the money that they have to pay out of pocket to physically have that show in 2022, they're going to get pretty much $0 in income from badge sales. And on top of that, as Colleen knows, exhibitors are given a really large discount if they pay for their booth in advance. I don't remember the specifics, but there are a number of exhibitors that on Sunday evening will go upstairs to the exhibitor registration booth and they will pay for their entire booth for the following year just to get it off the books and done, and now their booth is paid for. So on top of all the badge sales, there are a pretty good number of exhibitors who paid for their booth for 2022 if that show happens at the end of the 2019 show. So that means when they finally are able to have a full show, they are probably going to be losing money on that show, or certainly not making anywhere near the amount of money that they normally would. I just want to point that out.
Yeah.
I mean, that's probably what they've been living on. Like what's been keeping the lights on for, this last year and a half is what people decided to not return, because guarantee we locked down in March, Comic-Con's 4 months away, a lot of that money was already spent. If the attendees in bulk were like, you know what, let's get our money back, that alone could have bankrupted SDCC.
Yep. Oh no, absolutely. Because when you think about it too, I mean, Colleen, did they give the vendors that option too?
We had the option of either getting a refund or rolling over till next year.
Okay.
Because if you get the refund, you pretty much are going to lose your Comic-Con booth.
Right.
Yeah.
Who's going to do that?
Right.
And it's and it would be the same thing. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
From what I'm understanding from the November show is they're willing to take your deposit if you had just made a deposit for the show. They'll take that deposit and apply it for November. They'll take a portion of your paid fees from 2021 to pay for November. That's what they've kind of said in the email to the vendors. We still, like I said, don't know all the specifics. We don't know what the booth is going to cost, so it's still all up in the air as far as how that's going to work out.
Let me throw this curveball at everybody and get your opinion on this. Comic-Con is owned and run by a small group of people. I honestly, I don't even know who technically owns Comic-Con. Is it all of the board members? I don't know, but it's not a giant corporation. It's a small number of people. This could be an opportunity for somebody to roll in and buy Comic-Con International.
It definitely seems like.
If they were desperate, would they just fold up the tent and close shop? No, they would put the business up for sale, right?
Right.
It wouldn't just go away and we'd have no Comic-Con. They would sell it to somebody, some rich person or some corporation or something, and then they'd all just walk away, or they would stay and run it. But we could possibly see Comic-Con get sold.
Well, here's my thing too. Is I'm curious too. Is we've talked about this before, Shawn. About the Comic-Con Museum. Comic-Con Museum was supposed to open this year. They haven't done anything inside of there. But they've posted that they've made half of their goal. Correct?
They've raised funds in excess of half of their $34 million goal.
Right.
Goal to raise to do the work to the museum to open it. So they've raised 15+ million.
I'm curious as if they are using that money to fund Comic-Con, and that's why we haven't seen anything happen at the museum.
Well, I thought they were two separate entities.
No.
Okay.
No. Well, I'm not a lawyer or an accountant.
Right.
But the fact, if they were a normal company, I would say, well, yeah, they've got all that money to lean on. But they're the fact that they're a nonprofit and all of that 17 million, 99% of it, I'm sure at least, was raised as donations to open the museum. I don't know that they can touch that money, like to pay themselves or keep the company afloat. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Right.
That could be sticky.
Yeah, very sticky situation.
Yeah. Make that way more complicated, I would think.
Right.
All right. So
no, just something curious.
So
I thought originally the museum would close, like they would just pull the plug on it and walk away from it.
So I'm fairly certain that we could probably all five of us talked about this to the wee hours of the morning, but unfortunately our time is has come to, or is coming to a close. So I just want to go around and get everyone's like, what are they hoping to see from this? I mean, we talked about what it is that you know, is concerning to us. So, and I kind of want to end it on a more positive note. So, what is everyone's not ideal, but like what is it that could make you happy in regards to a Turkey Day Comic-Con? So, Anthony, we'll have you go first.
If you can make it WonderCon. WonderCon is my favorite convention of the year because it is smaller, more accessible. It doesn't feel blown out by huge companies. So if they can't make it, cool. If the vibe is still there, awesome. And if you take those 60,000 people and spread it out over that mile of convention center, now you've got a safe environment too.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can give me something like a WonderCon where the heart is still there, you can get me to come out for certain. But I'm also here in San Diego too. Yeah, I'm a bus ride. I'm $1.50 to get downtown. So I don't got to do a lot of work. I don't have to do a lot of work to get down there. But that would be maybe like really what I'd be hoping for. The kind of middle of my hope spectrum of what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Okay. Colleen, what is it that you're hoping to see come out of this?
Definitely a safe show. I mean, I want everybody to be safe, to be able to come back, you know, to other events. I do like the idea of a smaller show where people can move around a little bit more, spend a little more time at the booths, not feel so rushed or crowded. I know that tends to be a big thing. But just the vibe there, getting people to come out. Maybe, like Shawn said, people who haven't been to Comic-Con before, or maybe only been once or twice and couldn't get back in, giving them a chance to come in. And of course, as a vendor, wanting to, you know, make money. But most importantly for me is seeing everybody, interacting with the community. And that's, you know, that's really what I enjoy a lot about Comic-Con is, you know, seeing my friends, seeing other vendors, just seeing the cosplays, seeing the community, being that central point, you know, where people come and meet up. And so
Shawn, what is it that you hope to see out of this whole entire thing, even though Kurt is currently surrounded by debacles and scandal?
Well, number one, you know, I'll be there with bells on every day of the show, plus probably a couple of volunteering stuff. So I'll be there for sure if it's allowed to happen in any capacity, and I look forward to it. I think, like we touched on earlier, I think for people like just about everybody in this group here that have gone to the full-blown Comic-Con year after year, there's probably no way that this is going to be that. So I think you're going to have to go into it with that expectation.
Yeah.
I think Anthony knows that if they're able to do this full size at half capacity, which we have no idea at this point, that's literally WonderCon, and everybody freaking loves. That's my favorite too. Everybody loves WonderCon. Look at it that way. Like, this is WonderCon at the San Diego Convention Center, and I do think they're not going to have any trouble selling tickets for Friday, Saturday, Sunday, because you're going to have, especially if they market it that way, you know, if you've never been, if you've always wanted to go, here's your chance. Yeah, it's not what it normally is, but that's a good thing, especially if you're somebody that doesn't go to conventions. And my first thought, the The biggest thing I hope to see out of this, my first thought when they said that they were going to do a show in November, is I would love for them to do 3 shows a year in Southern California. And why not? Like, they normally do WonderCon in March or April, which is the smaller show, and then they do the big high pressure show just like 3 months later. They only have 3 months between the two, but yet then they have like another 7 or 8 months after Comic-Con before WonderCon. And if they could plant a 3rd convention somewhere in October, November, December, and do 3 a year, I'm all for that. You know me, I go to every con I can. So. Now, the Thanksgiving thing throws a huge monkey wrench into this idea. When they first said November, that was my thought. Like, not only do they need the money, and it's a great idea, but if it goes off really well, maybe they'll do it every year.
Resurrect the.
There's a fair judge of that because it's on Thanksgiving weekend.
Yeah.
So.
Resurrect the San Francisco WonderCon.
Gotta make people in the Bay Area happy. I'd fly up for that, for sure. I've never been to that, so.
Shane, what is it that you, I guess we'll get Shane's opinion and then I'll give my opinion last. And
oh man, I mean, the fall suit with Shawn and Anthony, I mean, dude, I just hope it's like, I mean, it's like WonderCon, dude. I mean, the third here, man, WonderCon is my favorite show to go to every year. I mean, it is just so laid back, just chill. It's such a good time. You're not having to like run around and try and find your friends. You just bump into each other, and it's so laid back and chill, and it's such a wonderful time. And you don't. The thing with Comic-Con is there's so much pageantry that goes along with San Diego Comic-Con that WonderCon maybe has like maybe a quarter of that type of pageantry, and it's what makes it so much better. And I hope that it has that. I hope it has the San Diego Comic-Con feel, but at the same time has that WonderCon feel too. And I just hope that they're able to create that feeling in a safe environment and be able to appease everybody, which I know that they're not. But I mean, I know that there's a lot of people that have gone sour over the years because of the size that Comic-Con San Diego has become. So I think it's definitely gonna get a lot of those people back, hopefully to the convention center and to be able to go. And like Shawn said, I hope that some of the people that haven't been able to go in the past years because of just the sheer craziness of what SDCC is can go and enjoy themselves and feel like a kid again. I mean, that's one of the things that I love doing conventions. Going to cons, yeah, cosplay is great, seeing my friends and stuff like that, but it's the whole aspect of just feeling like a kid again. The whole saying kid in a candy store, that's kind of how I feel whenever I'm at a convention. I feel like a kid in a candy store, and I get to be 15 years old out loud in front of everybody and be a complete dork. I'm like that at home, but you on a larger scale, you know what I mean? But
it's slightly different. It's slightly different when you can go out and let your freak flag wave in front of 10,000 people or so.
Yeah. And I really miss being in costume. Like, oh my God, dude, I miss wearing a damn costume. Like, I just want to I mean, if I could go to work in my costume, I would. I mean, I've already told my boss that on Halloween, I'm going to be in costume all day. So So he's like, all right, that's fine, you're good. And I'm like, all right, thank you. But yeah, it's definitely going to be a lot of planning for this Comic-Con though, just because I work in retail and I've got the Black Friday curse, so I have to work that Friday. So it's definitely going to be interesting. But yeah, man, I just hope for a great show, and I hope for a safe and just people to come out and enjoy themselves and be smart about it, and just truly enjoy themselves, and just be glad that we have an event to go to and to enjoy each other's company and just enjoy themselves.
Well, my hopes are that it is indeed, it's like I share the sentiment with Colleen. I hope that it's a safe show. I have numerous amounts of friends who, they work doing events. And I mean, if we can do events safely, that means their jobs are back. I could theoretically go back to doing those events as well. My kind of hope though is that the date changes. Just to kind of get it away from Thanksgiving. Now, granted, I mean, I know that that's logistically, I don't have a date to propose to change it to. So therefore, if it doesn't change, that's neither something that I can really be upset about. I hope to be able to go see my family over Thanksgiving, and if I go see my family over Thanksgiving, I can't go to Comic-Con. I mean, but also I'm an adult enough to go through and realize it's like, okay, this is the one time that this has happened. It's not gonna go. This is not going to be the new norm. So it's like I'll take the one-time hit of like, I can't go to Comic-Con, and I will ultimately be fine. But again, it's like, I hope that it's a good show. I hope that it's a safe show if it happens, and I hope that, like, those people that have given up on going to Comic-Con at least maybe decide to try and go to Comic-Con again. So that is my standpoint and everything. And so I think that brings us to the end of our show. Colleen, Shawn, Anthony, thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining Shane and myself tonight on this Easter weekend. I greatly appreciate it. Loved the discussion that we had. And it's like everyone is very excited. Basically, we're all excited for a show to happen, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
And
no, guys, thank you for joining us. It definitely, love seeing you guys. Anthony, thank you for all your input. Shawn, Colleen, definitely great to see you guys. And yeah, I like you said, Brandon, we are all excited that we have an event to plan for. So get ready with those cosplays. If you're working on something new, you've got
or have to order something.
You've got around 6 months to get those complete and ready to go. So
So
and
starting in September.
Shawn, I know, Shawn, it's still too early to figure out what you're wearing. I know.
Don't move Comic-Con to October 30th. That's all I.
But again, thank you so much for joining us. My name is Brendan, the nerd of many faces. That's been Shane. That's been Colleen, Shawn, and Anthony. And again, thank you for joining us for this roundtable discussion. We are the Knights of Nerd, and we bid you a fond farewell. What's up, nerds? My name is Brendan, the nerd of many faces.
And I'm Shane, FDScosplay, and we are the Knights of Nerd.
Now, you may have noticed that there has been a slight delay in the release of this episode. That's because you can now find us on Outlet.
Yep, that's right, Brandon. You can catch us on Outlet with so many other great shows like Con Girls Next Door, Adventures with Pablo, Topics on Tap, and many other independently produced shows. So come and check us out, check them out, and have some great conversations.
And if you like what we're doing, go ahead and leave us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, or leave a comment down below. Thanks for joining us, and we hope to see you at the round table.